Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another one of my Ascension messages. My name is Bobby Richardson, and I will be your guide for today. So today we're going to talk about, I just forgotten what I actually titled this. Dropping the program to make way for the new. I know what it's all about, obviously, but I forgot what I actually said in the title. And it's really a deconstruction of the logical mind and understanding the shadow work and what's actually really going on within our psyche as we do this works. And the reason why this has been brought up at the moment is because when we really get to the core issue of how we actually navigate our life via our mind or via our perception of the reality that we're creating, we no longer go back to the old program, right? Because then we go, well, now I get it. Now I understand, not only from a soul's perspective, but from a logical perspective of how I navigated my way through. Now, each and every one of us is going to have a different path, the way that we actually, take hold of something that we decide we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to change our frequency, change our mind, change our energy, change our patterns, change the way that we see life, that sort of thing. That is all individually based, but there's always this core kind of thing that happens through everybody in the way that they react. And this is why they call it the shadow work, because when you are going through this, there is an absolute letting go, or I would even call it grieving of the old program. And that's what I want to get to and talk to you about today. So I did write a couple of things down, but it's really interesting. I don't know if I need to really talk about it from this perspective, like read it out and then talk about it. Or just channel these messages through. I think I'll just say the first sentence and we'll see what happens, because they're definitely with me at the moment and how we're going to navigate this. Anyway, the very first paragraph kind of sums it all up. So I will say this one. This is your life granted to you by Prime Creator, not by a GOV official who stamped your birth certificate. Choose your own path as Prime Creator gave you a heart to carry your passions and desires and a mind to hold those desires till you see the action in your body that your body needs to take to ground them into your reality. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So especially they'll be coming through as well, and whatever they need to say, I'll just let it flow. We have within my mind, or the energy field that I have at the moment, definitely have the Pleiadians with me. We definitely have the CYANIANS, who are more close to oneness and understanding of all the different perspectives of realities. And the reason why they come through too is because when we start to navigate like out of the third dimension into fifth, sixth, so forth, up the all of those perspectives, they come in because they have this fuller awareness of these different perspectives. But they're saying it all kind of merges into one in the end, which is us navigating our life in through different adventures and experiences, straight back to source energy, which is absolute love of self, and having it's like a stable courage within oneself of knowing who thyself is as you walk through every single adventure that you are creating, like an absolute knowing that you are the creator of that, and it only comes from love, because creator is the love. Prime Creator is love only. Source energy is love only. Created all of this, like the diversity of what's happened here is they're taking me into all sorts of things now, and we're going away from the original. It's all right, we'll come back. But they're bringing me, for some reason, into space and how we perceive. We've got planets and the navigating, the darkness and all of that, the blanket of darkness over love, to create a physical adventure that many souls can go on through many, many, many different avatars. And there are absolutely gazillions of avatars out there. You know how many are already on this planet. So can you not perceive how many are on many, many, many other planets? There are absolutely trillions, but it's not necessarily in the darkness or the lack of love that you have been navigating through. And so when you come into a higher perspective of self, jumping into the fifth dimension, you will start to see or become more aware of different life forms on different planets and different energies through the planet that you're actually living on. And these are all they all have different perspectives of life, or different understandings of navigating the levels of, they're calling it like the chakras within yourself and your body, also in reflection to the different levels of awareness that many of these souls through these different avatars are living. And you can't reach them through you can only reach them through frequency. You can't reach them through the mind, because the mind is holding you in this program, in this limited program. So just to get you a better understanding of navigating through these different perspectives of levels, it's not actually levels, it's actually just frequency matches. And then you'll have a pool of frequency of avatars or souls or prime creator going in avatars, going in these frequencies, but in different avatars, and they pull together to create a specific dynamic or pattern of existence. And that could be on here on Earth, which is out of your range, or will come into your range, or on other planets. And so it's all to do with more of the love of self. So we don't actually have anything so-called to fear, other than the fact that we have been hiding the love of ourselves. And within that hiding, or the fear of one's own love of self, ends up projecting into a nemesis or somebody more powerful than you, because you are trying to cover up the love of self, that can only be covered up through fear and through fear. So then fear ends up projecting back out from the outside towards you. So it's actually not as the journey that we're taking now is not as detrimental to one's self. So that wanting to give you a sense of freedom here through this talk that they're coming through with, a sense of freedom before we navigate into the actual psyche of what the mind is doing, what the connection to the soul, the stronger connection to the soul that we're going to bring in is doing as well, is creating as well. Okay, so they wanted to at least speak up about that. So that was straight from the CYANIANS. Yes, so the reason why this is all coming up now is because from here on out, 2024 and up, we're going to many of us who have done this work and have this fuller, more of an understanding of self, creating the path that they want or desire, or shifting from the inside out. We're not going to go back, and so there's this whole vastness of things to explore within one's own psyche of one soul connecting with you. And that is all the adventures that you created through source energy, the source, the line of prime creator, the actual energy pattern of prime creator that your soul went on, which we'll call source energy. Like the fragments of all the different lives are going to come back. And then through that, this is massive newness, new program, new understanding of self. And then the collective will come together of those soul tribes, because family that you were born into and the higher frequencies will match the soul tribes as well. But because we have disregarded our soul's path through, well, humanity's consciousness disregarded their soul's path, they ended up being some were born through lessons rather than through soul family. And so some of those lessons was to find the strength within oneself without other soul family members. And it gave that opportunity. There was an opportunity to experience real, true loneliness. And that's actually an advantage point, because when you go into that loneliness, and then you find your absolute power you'll find more power within yourself of how you want to navigate your next life and your next life and your next life. You're no longer attached to everybody so much. So there's a gift that is given in everything, even though it can be tough, can be quite hard. Okay, let's get into the actual topic. Hey, Emma, that's all right. Thank you for saying IE. I had such a bee in my bonnet about that when I was growing up, because, I saw, I think it was, there was a TV show on, Brady Bunch, and Bobby was spelt with a Y, and it was a boy, and I'm like, another boy. And also I saw it spelt in a book for a dog's name, and I used to say Bobby with a Y is a dog's name. Sounds terrible now. I don't really care, obviously, now, because of let all that go, but we have to have come this far. We don't really care so much, but thank you anyway, and I do appreciate that. Okay, let's get into some of these actual messages for deconstructing the logical mind and what happens to us, right? I think I might read some of this stuff out, because they're coming through, but they're coming through with other messages. And I'll let that happen as well as we go along. And especially if they want to divert and go into other topics, let's just flow with that. But I do want to have a bit of a focus on the actual title. So I did write down a couple of things. As we move into understanding that we have the power within us to change our perspective and therefore see other avenues into navigating this world, which will actually gift us less fear. We are starting to trust in our intuition or soul's advice. Now, this is really interesting. I just channeled this through just before I came on live. So they're really strongly with me at the moment, which can be felt through the heart, right? So our soul's connection, when we're moving with our soul's understanding, when we feel, it's a feeling. A soul is more of a feeling, and you feel it in your heart, because your heart is one of the first things that your soul connects to give you that kind of feeling. And then what happens is the body reacts. So then we get this feeling in our body. And they said because the heart pumps blood around the body, right? And this shifts within the blood cells, which carries this wisdom or new information of the soul, and it can be interpreted by the body's reactions. So we have goosebumps that happen. We have heart palpitations of I'm excited, or anxiety. We have the gut that starts to tighten up with the anxiety and gives us that awful feeling. We also have, they said, if you really let go, these cells can literally move your limbs to do things. So interesting. And this could be, that's why they said to start to move your body, your limbs, like your hands, when you meditate, because you're allowing the information to come through your hands, through your, and then the movement carries energy out. And so you end up almost navigating your life through storytelling of your hands movements to go, the soul's wisdom comes through, and you're in a meditation. So you're really clear within your logical brain, hasn't got any sort of say in this at this moment. So it's just shush, like shh. And then you allow the information or the feeling to come through you, and then the heart starts to pump the blood, and the blood carries the cells, carries the information of, okay, there's a blockage there. And so when you move your hands like so, or so, or whatever it is, how you feel, you are seeing that blockage, and then you can start to shift it. And then you start to feel, okay, when you do the actual actions, because it's now grounded in your body as you're doing those actions, within you, you're starting to feel what it feels like with that blockage disappearing. You start to feel what it feels like. And so then this new understanding of, that's what it feels like not to have that blockage. And so then you've got something to, as a compass for you through the day, to go, okay, I felt that blockage again. And now I just move my hand like that. Okay, now I feel it's dissipating. And so then you say or do different things, different actions. In other words, say, for instance, you had a blockage around ringing up somebody, you were nervous about how it was all going to turn out, or something like that. That's your mind holding on to a certain logical program, and it's saying to you, I'm too scared to do that because that happened, this happened in my past. Boom, 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 boom. And it's not navigating through the energy at the moment, and you at the moment, and how much you've learned. It's just grabbing something from when you were 6, 7, 13, 21, and saying that's how it's going to happen again. So we've got to overprotect ourselves. So it stagnates you, stops you from doing it, gets your body into a tightness, and it can't move. And then you just go, I can't do it. So procrastination comes in. And so fear ends up ruling you, and you don't end up freeing yourself. So then they're saying, okay, so now you're in the middle of this meditation. You've told your logical mind, no, not going to go into that story anymore. You're bringing through the wisdom of the soul, and the soul might say, yes, this person is somebody that you need to talk to advance your business, to advance your life, to understand something more. And so it starts to give you that information. And then instead of allowing the logical mind to take place, we can allow the information to come through our heart, through our cells of our body, then the movement of our hands, and then we find the blockage, and then we go, I feel that anxiety that my mind has been carried, but now we've got it in the hands of we've got it in our hands, right? We are coming from an observer point on this issue, and then we can deconstruct it and shift the energy through movement of our hands, and then feel what that feels like, and then go, oh, wow, that feels a lot easier now. And so when you are finished the meditation, you go on your day-to-day life and you feel the anxiety kick in, move your hands in that way again and just feel into it. And then And then when you feel into not having that issue, it might gift you the response of, now I have a clearer perspective of what my soul's desiring. And you automatically will pick up the phone and ring the person from clarity, not from fear. Really interesting what they're bringing up at the moment. I love that. I love that. That's so cool. So yeah, and they wanted us to understand, like, it's literally your cells holding information through your body of wisdom, and it can change and it can shift very quickly, because the heart is the thing that the heart is the thing. It's almost like the bridge between past cell thing. There's some sort of chemical reaction that happens within the heart. This also happens within the mind and the brain, that releases the chemicals as well. But it's interesting because it will happen. They're showing me a simultaneous reaction of chemicals being released. You could feel it from the heart, you could feel it from the mind, but it simultaneously happens when you're in connection with the mind and the heart together, with the brain and the heart together. Anyways, seeing where they're going with that one. So we're also no longer fueling certain neuron paths or memories of when we come into changing our perspective. This, when it happens within the mind, right, and we are starting to realize that our imagination can conjure up something totally different, which is our connection to our soul as well. So it's funny because they're saying we as humans perceive this as mind, heart, body, because we're living in a world of separation. They perceive it from their point of view. The CYANIANS perceive it as just one understanding, shifting into new perspective, but they're trying to deconstruct it in a way that we have more sense around it from a logical point of view, so our logic so we can actually tell our logic to shush, to allow our imagination to come in and shift and carve a different story. We need, because the logic is the thing that's held our blockages, held our fear, held the program that we are limited, held the program that we are small, being told that we are all of that. When we are born as babies, unless we are born with an absolute soul fear that's been carried on from life, and that can absolutely be changed, shifted as well, absolutely 100%. We are born as just love. Like myself, I was born as just pure love. And because I come from a higher dimension and from the Pleiadian CYANIAN side, I come from that higher perspective. But the only problem was with that, because I knew that I was coming into a reality where there was a lot of fear held by different, they're calling it different gods. Like my father was a god, my mother was a god, my siblings were gods. They were all gods, and they all held on to all of this fear. So I came into this life knowing full well that I was the only one who had clarity around who we truly are underneath, without all that fear. And the first thing that happened is that my essence of my feminine beauty and essence that was born ended up igniting a issue within my father. And my father straight off wanted to disempower that to make himself feel better. And so the first thing that came out of his mouth was, she's not as pretty as, well, not the first thing, but when I was born, she's not as pretty as the first one. So he straight away pulled his fear over me, and then I took that on And I went through my whole life thinking that I am not pretty, and which is absolutely ridiculous because I am obviously okay looking. I mean, I'm 56 years old and I'm still okay looking, but it's been a real deconstruction of that mind thought within myself that I carried all this time because I wanted to honor and respect my father. I lowered myself to his level of reflecting that, and I carried it my whole life. So this is where it's so important to go back into those places and see it from a different perspective so that we can shift the path. And then we can shift it into, and it didn't matter, like even through my 20s, I got people coming up and saying, here, you should be a model, and giving me cards from modeling places and stopping me in the street and stuff like that. And like, I still thought I just carried it the whole way. So interesting. But anyway, yeah, if we go back and we start to see it from a different perspective of, oh, I see now, I gave my power away to my dad out of honor and respect for my dad, but I actually was not honoring and respecting who I was, born with all this feminine love for this world, nurturing, wanting to nurture everyone. I wanted to nurture everybody when I was a kid, like the animals, everybody. And I got knocked down, knocked down, knocked down, knocked down because I was showing them up. I was showing them, and I didn't realize that. I just thought it was me coming from my heart, but I was showing them all of their issues. And so when that happens, people can't handle the fact that they haven't been in love with their own feminine side, their own feminine aspect, their own self-nurturing. And so I was literally born into a family that could not nurture, in that my mum had closed down that side of herself completely. So it was really a difficult transition in that respect. But they're bringing all this up. They keep bringing up me as an example, and it's the only example I have, so I have to go with this. But in your life, there would be things that are blocking you. You can do the meditation and all of that, but in the end, to tell the logical mind that there's a new story coming in will actually release chemicals of that new story as well. And so then the imagination can show up. But what happens is, within this deconstruction of the logical mind saying that it's trying to overprotect us and try to keep us small so that we fit into this small, tiny little society that we've built, which is very cut off from everything else. Like we're not telepathic. We don't understand animals. We don't understand so much more to understand when we go into this. Then when we're in that limited space, when we go through the shadow work and we're bringing in our imagination to see or journey through a different way of interacting with things, relationships, how we are with each other, all of that, the stories that have held us into a limited concept of what's happened, which has been reproduced into the society as we find a mate, we get married, we're supposed to live together forever. If you divorce, it's bad. All of that sort of stuff is limiting our experience. We're supposed to love our family members all the time and always put up with everything that they say. It's limiting our experience. How we interact with friends. You can never tell a friend, okay, sorry, you've crossed my boundary for now. Maybe we need to part for a while, in a nice way. That actually caused all the friction between us, the fights, the arguments, disappointments, all of that sort of stuff. So when we say to our logical brain, there is another way, we're literally, when you really get into the core aspect of letting go of that logical mind and that programming, you might find yourself, like I did, on the floor, literally bawling your eyes out, going, what the heck is this feeling? Because what it is was, what it is was, um, it is you actually grieving the program, grieving that program, letting it go to allow whole new imagination coming through, which might look completely different to what societal bounds are. And you have been brought into this world with from your soul's perspective to share all of this new understanding, new information, new wisdom that you carry through your soul's lineage, going from one life to another life to another life to another life. And then you're like, whoa, I've got all that information, all that wisdom. Didn't find it in a book over there. Someone didn't tell me how that worked over there. I just know it. I know it within my soul. And so, and then you can bring all that through. But we have to go through almost literally a grieving of letting go of this past program, because we've held it from probably, when we were like 5 years old and we were at school and we were taught this is, you're supposed to meet a guy and you're supposed to meet a little boy. Oh, that little boy is cute. Do you want to go see him? And you have to like fit into a certain mold. This is why this world is deconstructing at the moment, with all these new souls coming in with new information and people actually listening to their soul's path now, starting to bring out new ideas of what love can look like, what love can actually look like. And it goes beyond the limits, beyond the program, beyond societal bounds, all of that sort of stuff. So it is, then we're starting to see all these different scenarios where people are taking their power back. I don't know what, this is how I feel at this moment. I see myself as a certain, sex or a certain whatever. Who really cares, in the retrospect of love itself? It's freeing when you allow somebody without judgment to be what they really truly feel they are. And you can tell that they are because they are coming from love of self. So they emanate love when they speak, and they just become who they are, and it could look very strange to people that are expecting everyone to sit in a certain basket or a certain containment. It can look very different, but this is an expansion of awareness. It's not going to fit into societal norms anymore. We are breaking down the patterns, and we might go through this scenario where you are literally grieving the program, and that is okay. Allow yourself to grieve the program. Open yourself up to new experiences. What do you really desire? What feels right for you and your situation and how you're interacting with people? It might not look like what you thought it would look like. And this is what we're changing. This is what we're moving towards, creating this whole new reality. It's not going to be fitting in that old box anymore of what the logic held on to. And what we're literally doing is putting logic in its place, because it has been trying to create new paths by grabbing hold of the past or what somebody else told it to be a program and project that into the future. And we're ignoring all of our soul's advice. We're ignoring all of our soul's wisdom. This isn't where we are going, guys. We are going towards a balance of what this goes through. Now, we don't want to just grab hold of our soul's advice and ignore everything about our logic, which keeps us in this beautiful reality of separation. Because if we do that, we're no longer even able to communicate with other people on a level of seeing them with our eyes, hearing them, and all of that sort of stuff. We're just in this energy field, right? So we want to ground. We want 3D to expand into more, so we can visit 3D if we want. We can visit 5D. We can visit, we can use 4D as a time constraint and shift our time from this time to another. This also another thing that they've been bringing up with me recently. I'm getting really passionate. Sorry, guys. But we'll go with this, right? Also, another thing that they've been bringing up with me recently is their perception of our reality and looking at us and going, really? You're not embracing where you're at, this they look at us and go, this time right here, right now, in your body, with the the cities and the all of that, whether it's something that you're not really into or something that you are into, everything that is in your reality at the moment will not happen again. It will not happen again. This is it, guys. This is a beautiful transition that humanity is going through from one very limited state of mind to opening up to a whole new creation, and nothing is the same. So that's why they brought me to the fourth dimension in time. Even if you go back in time, it is completely different feeling. Like if I go back to the 60s when I was born, it's totally different time to what it is now in the 220s. It's a different energy, whole different game. So this moment in time, they're wanting us to embrace it, because they're like up there going, gosh, if I had the wisdom and the knowing of what I know now in that body, in what that person is experiencing, I would be walking this planet going, oh my God, how beautiful is this? Like, this is incredible where we're at right now. And when you come from that point of view of acceptance, that's when you can change things. That's when you can go, wow, I just accept everything for what it is. How beautiful. But I'm not going to focus in on that problem, that problem, that problem, that problem. I'm going to focus in on all the beauty and the things that make me feel really special. That's how you start to change things, because when you are in a negative sort of they shouldn't be doing that. Why are they doing that? You're literally pointing at them, and you are creating that problem bigger. You are literally giving that thing, that problem, more energy. You're making it more fruitful in your mind, because you are focusing in on it. Resistance causes resistance, remember? So the more that you're trying to resist something, the more power you're giving it, and you become stuck in this. But when you let it go and you go, oh, look at that over there, this thing that you don't like in your life literally has no resistance anymore. It will fall through your reality, and you are starting to carve your path through acceptance and love. So they're showing me, like, from their perspective, they're going, do they not understand? Do you guys not understand how incredible it is right here, right now? How incredible reality is right here, right now. We have beautiful landscape, trees and that surrounding us, the weather patterns, all of that sort of stuff. It's just all unique, and it's never going to happen again, because everything keeps moving, right? Everything keeps shifting. So embrace where you're at and focus in on what you really love. And that's going to start to shift your reality. So yeah, a lot of passion coming through this morning. From them and from me. Yeah, but really beautiful and heartfelt and spoken from the heart. We are in a unique position right here, right now. They wish, they're saying, we wish that we were in your position. Yes, they could see that we've gone through a lot. We've gone through a lot of torment. We've put ourselves through a lot of torment. And it's not to say, something that's not, they're not being nasty or anything, but they want to see it as the truth. They want to tell you this as the truth. We have put ourselves through a lot, through the resistance of this world, resistance of where we're at, resistance of everything. But it had to kind of be that resistance to break away from it, to find a new perspective, to find a new change. Sometimes the pressure becomes too much, right? And then eventually you don't have the strength to hold on anymore. And that's when you let go, because you're like, I can't do this anymore. And literal suicidal thoughts might even come into your mind or something like that. But it's just you letting go of that resistance that's been holding you in tension and body in tension, which could end up, the tenseness within your body could end up in health problems and all of that. This is why when we go into this other reality, the tension falls away, because we're moving through our life through the love of self and the love of what we really want to see more of. And we're no longer holding on to the other stories of, but they did this and they did that, and that means it's going to happen again. That is logic trying to create your next step. Logic is not supposed to create your next step. Logic only knows the past, projecting into the future. It cannot create something new. So we need to let go of those stories. Let go of, even if you're with somebody and you've got all this, oh, they did this and they did that, let it go. And then step into the next moment, and the next moment from love, from love, from love, from love. And when you do that, you might see them letting go anyway of all that they held on to in who they are. And then if they don't, and they're still holding on tooth and nail to their own mind and their own issues and their own problems, no matter how much love you give them, then you'll find it with somebody else. The universe will bring in somebody else to reflect that love that you have, because you have no resistance to this person that is showing you limitations, their own limitations and their own fear. So they will fall away and allow them to go, because you're moving towards love, even if it looks different, even if the family dynamics change. If the family dynamics stay the same, as in the actual individuals coming back in again. Allow it to happen. Don't go back into the mind of, but the story was, and it could come back, and they could do this and they could do that. See, we're learning to navigate our life through the soul now. We're learning to navigate our life to shifting our reality through our imagination. We're bringing it into balance with our logic. It's a balance here. Yeah, it's so cool. Whew. Morning, everybody. Morning, Mario, Arnie, Joe. Good to see you, Emma. Oh, yeah, I said hi to Emma before, and Maggie. So, yeah, this is definitely a deconstruction of the program, and a grieving that could happen. With it. Go with it. We're not supposed to be. When you're letting go of something that's been held on to all your life, and you don't know where you're actually really going, because you're now bringing in something that's never been taught to you before. Like it's been told, when you were a kid and you started to imagine, you're in the place, sandpit or something, and you're building a castle. Man, if you let, then some kid come along and kicked it down, and you just, and then what happened is throughout your life, you built up a house, and then somebody comes and, makes an issue out of it all, and you have to leave again. And so you're constantly bringing up the same story, because you've been holding on to that past event, instead of going back, even with your imagination, to that point of you being in that sandpit, and you creating a beautiful castle, and you coming to the fruition of it. You created what you actually wanted. I don't know why, but they're bringing me to this really interesting point that I had when I was only like 5 or 6 years old, and I was in ballet, and it was our first concert that we ever had. And we were dressing up as pixies and fairies, and they dressed me up as a pixie, and I was like so frustrated with that, because I knew I was a fairy. Like my soul knew that I know the fairy elements in that time. It's really interesting. My soul knew that I visited the elemental realm. I knew the elemental realm. I knew and I was feminine. I was fairy. And I remember thinking, okay, you've put me as a pixie. And then I remember thinking to myself, but we're going to fly, because that's what I did in this other reality, in this higher frequency. And elementals can fly, and they use the wind, and they use they use their intention of where they want to go. Like they fly. And my head, I was absolute that, you know, we were taught this dance, but I was absolute that the fairies were going to fly. Maybe not the pixies, but the fairies were. And when the actual whole thing happened, I was really disappointed. They didn't fly. I was trying to figure it all out in my brain. It did not make sense at all. So yeah, there's this whole thing that can come through, and an understanding of less limitation, because they wouldn't even try, you know, to me. You're not even going to try. Like, yeah, funny though, because I didn't either. So anyway, interesting story. I don't know why they're bringing that up, but that's something they're wanting us to shift, go back into when we were, you know, before we were really programmed. And you might get a key or an understanding of different lives that came through, that came through when you were really, really little. And then you can, like they're showing me a pulling of a thread, pull those lives out of you, and embrace them and say, this is, now I understand why I felt that way. Now I understand why I thought that way, because I actually knew that energy. I knew that existed somewhere in this reality. It exists. And then it will give you a stronger connection. So it will give me a stronger connection to the elementals, because I'm now not coming from, that's an absolute no, limitation, doesn't exist, that sort of thing. But we want to be able to communicate with them again, so that we can then ask them, how do I get to fly? And then you can get the information or the wisdom coming through. So this is wisdom that's coming through the soul. Same with you, if you've had in a past life, you were a so-called witch or something, you had amazing understanding of spells and concoctions and herbal remedies and stuff. And you could help a lot more people, or how to shift energies, because you were coming from Pleiades or Sirius or some other reality, you know, another planet out there. I don't know why Beetlejuice keeps coming up in my mind too. So there might be somebody who watches me that is from Beetlejuice, and it's a really interesting energy, that planet. They're also showing me all the different planets in our solar system, and some of us could be born from those different planets, but in a different frequency, obviously, than what this third dimension is. And so there's all these different wisdom that's coming through. And then some, when you start to connect to that planet, the origin of your soul, might actually navigate you to being somebody that will be able to visit that planet again, but you have to meet that frequency. It's really interesting what's coming through. So anyway, so much that's coming through me at the moment. I'm losing track of time. 48 minutes. Okay. Ani, this is so good. What seems like out of nowhere. My husband said he was moving out. Wow. I moved out instead. Oh, and I hope that, you know, my heart, like, I'm not saying that it's not difficult. There's always going to be this difficult transition. And I totally understand. My heart goes out to you from that respect. But there's also this understanding of why this is all happening. You are up leveling into something more. And at this moment, he can't come. So that's probably why that split really happened. And never, ever say to self, that's it for the rest of your life. Because when you start to move into love and accepting yourself more from love, you might see them from a different perspective, and they might have a place in your life in a different way or something like that. But to part, when we know we've really done justice when we're parting through love. And honestly, literally what's happening with me and my partner at the moment, like I'm still living in this beautiful home. He still loves me being around and all that sort of stuff. But there's certain points in our relationship that just is not working at all. And it could be because I've risen my level of awareness, the feminine side of the power. And I'm saying, no, from now on, I'm not going down like I did with my father and making myself smaller to be with somebody. I'm standing my ground, but we still really care for each other. And there's no arguments in the respect of like my past at all. And that's how much I've shifted. So yeah, that can be a good indication of how you're navigating. But if you are arguing and all of that sort of stuff, just remember to come back into love of self, and don't be afraid to move around those people from the love of self. What could be the worst that could happen? You end up getting back together and you actually really do find something, a way to live or be in each other's reality that's through love. What's the worst that can happen, right? Yeah. So relationships are literally, especially those that have been asked to up for some reason, it's a feminine side that's been risen. I might have to do a separate talk on this because this is quite in depth, where the feminine aspect of humanity is rising, and we're no longer belittling ourselves to fit into the logical format, which is literally what's happening within our minds and our brains. And so we're going to have to find or navigate a new dynamic, a new way of relationships, of working together and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, because he's still my best friend. It's just the way it is, right? But yeah. But I also, yeah, anyway, doesn't matter. I'm not going to go into my relationship. I'm still fighting with I felt that. Yeah, isn't it interesting? So many in my chat bar are going through similar than what I'm going through. It's so interesting. And we're like literally reflecting each other. Still fighting mine, but breaking the bond soonest without judgment, because I am God and I am lighting up my own divinity. Beautiful. Just keep moving from a love of self. You can't go wrong, because they either partnerships and friendships and all that, they either leave and you are then filling, it's literally what the mind's doing, and you're filling yourself up with what you deserve, what you truly deserve. And then it allows them to do the same as well, or to look at themselves and to heal what they need to heal as well. So, but it doesn't mean that you don't need to be nasty to each other. See, in the higher dimensions, we come and we go. We allow the flexibility of relationships to flow however they need to go. It's not, that's it, you have to stay stuck with that person for the rest of your, yes, you might. And I have brought that up before. You might want to stay with that person. That's just how it is for the rest of your life. And that feels absolutely perfect for you. There's no wrong and there's no right. But the relationship dynamic is breaking down in society for us to bring in new understandings of how we can be with each other. Yeah, I love it. It's really cool. Love without judgment. Absolutely. Love without judgment. Yeah. Bless them and move on. Well, bless yourself. You know, bless yourself. You all deserve the best. You all do. But nobody is going to be able to give that to you, because then you're expecting them to be the source, with the source outside of you to always be there to give that to you. You're the only one that can give that to you. You know how you feel. You know what you can handle. And it might look different to everybody else and what they can handle. So that's where the non-judgment comes in of self. So don't look at somebody else and go, well, they're doing that, so that must mean I should be able to handle that. No, you might not be able to handle that, because your reality, to love yourself, you might need something different. You might need something unusual even to come into your life to make yourself feel whole within who you are. But at least when you move towards that, you are starting to create or carve a path around you that is bringing in all these different newness, new dynamics, new relationships, new something, you know, everything's changing for you as your central self, creating from prime creator's perspective, which is what was wanted, what the soul wanted right off the bat. The soul doesn't want to come into a avatar or a body and then not to be able to experience it in the fullest way, but limit itself to what it can experience. The soul doesn't want that. That's the logical mind overprotecting us and telling us it has to be this way, otherwise you won't fit into everyone else. Well, if you already fit into yourself and know thyself and have that strong solidness about who you are, that is what's going to be able to free you to expand and go on amazing adventures and do whatever you wish. Haven't you ever desired to go on amazing adventures, but then your logical mind comes in and goes, but that won't fit my story, because now I have to stay with this person who doesn't want to go on any adventures or doesn't want to do things that I want to do, or whatever it is. So yeah, allow yourself to be you and honor and respect you. You're the only one that can give it to you, because then it is yours and no one can take it away. No one can take it away. So love you guys heaps. Until next time, definitely be live again on Tuesday. See what happens over the weekend. If I have started a new video, but it's, yeah, we'll see where we go with that one. Yeah, it's a lot of understanding the psyche of ourselves at the moment so that we can expand. Because this year is, they keep bringing it as an important year. It's an important year of shifting humanity's consciousness, but we're no longer carrying the weight on our shoulders of having to heal and help everyone else. It's literally just shifting our own perspective and then moving from that point of love. So love you guys heaps. Until next time. Bye.